But he keeps on forgetting what he wrote down. The whole crowd goes loud. He opens his mouth, but the words won't come out. He's joking how everybody's joking now. The clock's run out, time's up, over, plow, snap back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. Oh, there goes gravity. He's so mad, but he won't give up. He goes back to these notes. He's so mad at these notes. He goes at it, he's close. He goes at it, he's home. He goes back to these notes. He goes back to this mobile home. That's when it's back to the lab again. He opens soul rhapsody. Better go capture this moment and hope it all can lose yourself in the music.
Go. That was a great intro by Vivek Ramaswamy. We're gonna get back to that. Anyway, welcome to the Scapegoats podcast.
Yeah. This is Romney, and that's Baker.
Yep.
All right.
This is the second episode. We've got a lot to talk about. Lot of very interesting things have happened in the political world recently.
Yeah. I would say so. What do you want to get into first?
So I've got just like a little thing before we start this, and I just want to say because personally I've struggled with this in the past, and you know I lost a friend to one of my friends lost their battle with mental health back in January, and I was reading more on Marianne Williamson's campaign, and I was like, what she wants to do, she's prioritizing stuff that needs to be prioritized, including mental health. So I just want to say, if you're struggling with mental health, you are not alone in this fight.
No doubt. Yeah, it is real, and yeah, you seem to go more into Marianne Williamson's campaign in making mental health is definitely a big aspect.
Yeah,
But
we'll probably get into that a little later.
Mm-hmm.
For now, though, I think we should start off with let's start off with something more recent. Let's start off with Francis Suarez. Now, last week I said that he was a more moderate Republican, and while that is still kind of true, he has started to push farther to the right.
Really?
Yep. He has a new ad out. I actually saw this while watching a baseball game a couple nights ago. I saw this, and what it was just this ad about, like, stuff that he planned to do. He wants major prison reform, and by major prison reform, I mean stricter enforcement of the law, which, here's the thing, we've seen how this has gone before.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen this on statewide levels in Missouri and in Minnesota, and we know how that's ended. So all I'm going to say is Florida is in for a really rough time right now, specifically Miami. But if Suarez does somehow get elected, he wants to crack down on law. He wants to crack down on drug cartels, and I'm going to get back to that in a sec. He also wants to finish the border wall, and that's what makes me say that he's starting to push further right. Because you've got Ron DeSantis, you've got Donald Trump. They all want the border wall to be completed. Nikki Haley in there, as well as Asa Hutchinson. And so for Suarez to come out and say that, that was a little shocking to me.
you didn't think that because he had been more moderate, that you didn't think he'd be joining that kind of, supreme, the border control. But Biden's been, ruining that since the millions of foreign have come in since the pandemic. Was those restrictions were lifted, and they've been making more of a deal of that, of that the border's not done yet, and
yeah. And I think Suarez, I don't know, something just does not seem right to me when it comes to that, because here's the thing. A couple of years ago, I remember hearing about this. Suarez actually used to oppose the border wall, so I'm wondering what happened there.
Yeah, probably because he's noticing he's really not doing well in the pollings and in any of the other numbers, and if like a desperate push of wanting to qualify for the debate stage, that's probably unlikely, I'd say.
Yeah. Keep in mind, we still have some time to go, but this upcoming debate, only 8 of the, I think, 15 or so candidates qualified.
Mm-hmm.
Now, keep in mind, we are still seeing more people, coming in and expressing interest, and we're actually going to get into that in a minute after we talk about the next person. And obviously the next person, we talked about him in the beginning of the last episode. He's become a meme candidate at this point, and he's never going to be taken seriously. But at this point, there's so much about him that you can just make memes out of. I'm talking about Perry Johnson here.
Perry Johnson, yeah.
So, Perry did not qualify for the debate.
No, I don't think he's not going to. He'd have to put in a lot of his fortune, and it's just not. No.
No. I just want to bring something up here. Perry at one point was polling third in the Republican Party, and now he is close to, if not dead last.
Yeah, I think he's like bordering with Will Hurd, which is not. Yeah, I heard he gave. Yeah, I heard he gave away gas cards, tickets to a Big and Rich concert, and just more to try to attract donors. But that's just not another desperate push.
He's also selling 2 copies of his book. Keep in mind, 1 copy of his book is worth $10, but he's selling 2 copies of his book for $1.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how that's going on. Also, he published a video called the 2-Cent Diet.
Yeah.
And that was a couple months ago. However, people are starting to notice just how offensive the video actually was.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, this was probably the most offensive campaign ad I've ever seen. Like, they're making fun of Biden's speech impediment. They were like, all I'm gonna say, go watch the video. Tell us what you think in the comments, because I wanna know what y'all think.
I think we put it in a playlist. I don't on the channel. If it's up there, if anyone wants to check that out.
Is it just me, or did his freak out seem a little Hitler-ish at the Lincoln dinner?
Enjoy America. Enjoy life.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
One of my family members today said that there was something extremely off about him just by looking at him.
Yes, he's just there. Yeah, just creep, just off, just not someone who should be, held in that that office.
He's like the next door neighbor you never let your kids walk in front of their house.
Mm-hmm.
Like, exactly.
Yeah. I think you would. Yeah, you said he almost looked like pedo-ish.
Yeah. I bet I'm actually willing to bet that if I Googled his name on the registry, it would come up.
Yeah, a former case. Yeah.
Now,
Um,
I don't have a whole lot of notes for this next one because the latest info I could find was 2021, but it is real and it's starting to make a resurgence. Billy Joe Armstrong, the frontman of Green Day, filed to run for president in 2021.
you're bringing this up.
Yeah, it's newsworthy, I think.
You think it? Yeah. You think this could? This is real. That this could, yeah, make another swing.
I think it definitely could. I think he's gonna blow Kanye out of the water.
Yeah, that would love to see that.
I'm I'm really, I feel like Kanye's still trying to figure out what makes him a gay fish. Have you seen that episode of South Park?
Yes, I don't. I don't think he got it yet. He still hasn't gotten it.
Yeah.
Still gonna freak out over that. I get you brought up South Park. Today was the I think 28 years ago. Today was its first episode release. So there's a little South Park shout out. Yeah.
I feel like really old.
Well, and you've been watching it since you were, yeah.
Yeah. Now, circling back to the intro, this next piece also newsworthy because I get that it's an attempt to pull in younger voters, but Vivek Ramaswamy, oh god.
Oh, our intro, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, really spitting bars. I mean,
To pull
really
in younger viewers, yeah. To pull in younger audiences, younger voters.
that was his highlights at the Iowa dinner. There, yeah, that was a pretty big event. Handful of people, including RFK Jr. Even if you want to call him so, he had joined himself there. Everyone was that's one of the biggest like Republican events from Iowa because it's the first state.
I don't know. I'm thinking Vivek for the XXL freshman class next year.
Yay!
He's got bars.
He could, yeah. Scrap the politician idea. Go for if this doesn't pan out after. Go to that route.
Yeah, young Vivek.
Mm-hmm. Just Vivek as a whole, he's third in the race right now. I believe behind DeSantis, and he's just he's the same kind of like he has this like kind of like what is he, another intimidation kind of scheme, like we've talked about his scandals in the past, like well, I'm really curious to see how he will debate. I think we'll see a different side of that.
Now, before we move on, I just want to point out that we have had some major movements in the polling. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to pull up the polling right now.
I did look at the polling today as well, which it's tied right at 43%, Biden Trump, and then there's the other 14%, and that's really the biggest deciding factor of where goes what with those percentages. Yeah, I mean, on the Republicans, Trump's leading 54%, behind DeSantis at 17%, Pence 3%. He's dominating his rivals, and even going deeper into the base, there was a 37% is the MAGA base. I think like 0% of that base believes he committed any crimes or anything, and like 2% believes he might have did something wrong, and then there's another 37% that's persuadable to maybe he did some more things, and then there's another 25% that's just not open at all. But there's that big, because like the big question, like why is he dominating so still all this time, and that's just a big reason of that.
Yeah, and from what I'm seeing, because I'm on 538.com right now, and the polling numbers are showing to be a little different, but not much. But Trump is now at 53.7%, DeSantis in second with 14.1%, Vivek in third with 7.5%, and then Pence in fourth with 5.5%.
Yeah, Vivek's been dominating in other polls. I read the New York Times polls there, but yeah.
My question is how Burgum fell from fourth all the way to ninth.
Maybe people read your statement about his neo-Nazi connections and really get bringing that to light.
Yeah, maybe. Francis Suarez fell from 7th to 10th.
Yeah, he really, he fell. And he tweeted Monday that he did reach the 40,000 donors. Is that even? That's not accurate, right?
I can't get exact numbers, but what I can get here is I can get percentages. But I have no doubt that he reached 40,000 donors. Miami's a big city. His approval ratings in Miami are sky high.
Mm-hmm.
So I have no doubt that he reached the 40,000 donor mark.
Yeah, just the other, on the polling side, that's another story.
Yeah.
Same with Hutchinson.
Yeah, Hutchinson's in 8th. Will Hurd jumped up from, I believe, 14th to 11th. So not doing great, but that's still a jump.
Yeah.
I mean, he jumped over Perry, so I call that a win right there.
Yeah. We can touch on a little bit of I think one of the bigger headlines this week, the Maui wildfires are reaching into I think the high 80s, making that I think the biggest, deadliest natural disaster in United States history, and beating California. And
that's definitely just like extremely sad. And here's the thing, I know people in Hawaii, so when I was like reading about the fires, my first thought was literally, oh my god, is my family okay? So I reached out to one of my cousins who goes to college in Maine, but he's originally from Hawaii.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, and what he said was that his family was safe, but a lot of their friends had to evacuate, and that's just extremely sad. And the death toll being up in it hit the high 80s today. It's expected to go into the hundreds by the end of the week.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see you know what happens. But obviously, not a good situation there. The pictures just showing utter devastation.
Yeah, I think was it if I'm pronouncing this right, La Huania, Maui. I think that there was a satellite image in 2022. Just a beautiful place, and then what was lost? 1,900 buildings destroyed in the fires just since.
Yeah, the
Uh,
burn scar out in Lahaina, yeah, or
yeah,
Lahaina, I think.
yeah, because it's just it's an island, so it's easier. That's what's picking it up so fast.
Yeah, and you have to keep in mind, Maui isn't as prone to natural disasters as the Big Island is, so that was a little shocking. But yeah, there are also fires going on the Big Island and on Oahu,
Hmm.
as well as apparently Lanai. I
Okay, of
Yeah, it's affecting all of Hawaii, and obviously, our thoughts and prayers go out to them.
course.
Um, yeah, I'm gonna see if it's possible to get a link to a like donation in the description. I'm gonna see if that's possible.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good,
and
good
obviously
idea.
we're gonna do that for the Vermont flooding as well because there's still a lot of people in need up there as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, so like I said, if you can, just please try to like help out because there's a lot of people in need of help right now.
definitely.
Yeah, it, it's sad.
So yeah, if we do put that up, donations would be greatly appreciated. Yeah.
Yeah, and this wouldn't be going to us. This would be going, you know, directly to like FEMA and all them. So
Hmm.
yeah, I think that does need to be addressed here. Yeah.
Definitely.
Now, do you want to take a break from politics and talk about something else? Because there was some breaking news out of the baseball world today.
If you'd like, yeah, a baseball fan. Yep.
Okay, so 22-year-old shortstop for the Tampa Bay Rays. His name is Wander Franco. Um, he might end up having to leave his baseball career behind. Keep in mind, this guy's an all-star. He's in the third year of his major league career. But the reason is because allegedly during the offseason, Franco, who was at the time 21, allegedly hooked up with a girl that was 14.
And that got out.
That came out today, and all I have to say is, this happened a few years ago with the Felipe Vasquez situation, and it's unlikely that Vasquez will ever step foot on a mound again. So
Yeah.
for Franco to risk that, especially after seeing what happened to Felipe Vasquez, I have no idea. But if these rumors are true, and I am praying that they're not, but if they are true, yeah, it's bad.
Like, yeah, doesn't the MLB takes this stuff like seriously, right? So what is he already or is everything pending?
Everything's pending investigation right now, but the MLB has suspended a lot of players for similar stuff. They've especially been suspending players for domestic violence over the past few years. Someone even got suspended for it this year. That was New York Yankees pitcher Jimmy Cordero.
Huh.
Yeah, so the MLB takes this stuff really seriously, I guess, after the whole uh, PED scandal back in the 90s. I think what they're trying to do is I think they're trying to rebuild their reputation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah. And
Speak.
yeah, I think talking about like the Red Sox, I think it's doubtful if they'll make the playoffs, or I think we had already said that.
It's doubtful that they'll make the playoffs, but we do have a bit of exciting news. Chris Sale did really well. He had a perfect game going through the fourth inning on Friday night, and then he got pulled from the game. But he had a perfect game going.
Yeah, and it's one of our best guys. So yeah,
You know,
I
he's been injured so much that honestly it would be like a. The only thing I can really compare it to is the only football reference I can compare it to is like if Tua Tagovailoa ended up carrying the Miami Dolphins somehow. Both
Wait,
are often injured guys.
yeah, which he does when he's always concussed. So that's
Has Tua
kind of
even
insane.
played an NFL game since like 2021?
Oh yeah, he started. He's their guy. It's just, he can play. It's he does get hurt, and I'd say he's one concussion away from he's close to like to retirement. Like it's that many. So and I don't even think he'll play for a full year. Like I'm not saying he'd get a concussion, but there's nothing that he's ever played a full NFL season. So it's like yeah, uh, football starts in a couple weeks, so I'm really excited about that. Only a couple more Sundays until, and it's already like preseason. It's already like people don't care about that, but it's already like, oh, look at this players who showed flashes, like Malik Cunningham from the Patriots on undrafted. He's shown a lot of really good flashes, and so that's it's already kind of games, even though they're not, even though it's this preseason.
You also have to consider with football players, there's this thing called CTE, and that's basically when
Mm-hmm.
someone gets like too many concussions. They start to lose it, and that's what Aaron Hernandez had.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I have no doubt that's what OJ Simpson has.
Yeah, no doubt that's Antonio Brown has that.
Antonio Brown, yeah,
Yeah.
he's already showing signs of it, so.
Yeah, there's no doubt that's the big reasons. Yeah, towards it. Yeah, bunch of the NFL's definitely taken it more seriously with new rules over the past couple of years. But yeah,
Yeah. And I think especially, as time goes on, there's a lot of international players that are starting to come over
mm-hmm.
from countries like, Korea, Australia, New Zealand, and England, and you're just seeing these guys come over. And I think the real thing that they need to start taking into account is, what if these guys go home and do like other things? Like what if they like go home like murder somebody? Because I know in some countries, I don't know if it's in any of the ones I've listed, but I know in some countries murder is oftentimes punishable by death if found guilty.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think they kind of have to do something about that to keep their publicity intact.
Yeah, that's the dark thing about a lot of other countries. That we're the only ones who has the fairest constitution. Um, and yeah.
Now I just want to say that I saw a democracy index the other day. Now, obviously, there's there's a scale. There's perfect democracy to totalitarian dictatorship. Obviously, on the lower end, the totalitarian side, you've got countries like North Korea, um, China, and Russia are starting to get there. And then on the other side, you've got Taiwan, which is quite literally labeled the only perfect democracy in the world.
Yeah.
And I just want to point out that they were a dictatorship until 1986, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, same with South Korea, also pretty high up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but on that democracy index, the USA was labeled as a flawed democracy. And a flawed democracy doesn't necessarily mean that, like, it was, like, intended for something, but it turned out to just be corruption and corruption. But it's, even though that's what it sounds like, it's not the case. It basically just means, there's a little work to be done.
That's pretty striking to me. I think democracy is one of the most important things in our country, and losing it is just something we can't have, and it's something that was definitely happening, and almost lost to going up to the big thing that we'll get to talk about later today. But yeah, that's a striking thing to
Now,
hear.
do you want to hear something even more striking? Because I'm about to tell you where the U.S. lies on that index.
Tell me.
Number 39. We are behind South Africa, according to that index.
Oh,
I
like
don't know how, but
can you see what top 5 is? Like, that's just wow.
I memorized the top 5 because it was a pretty easy remembering job since they're all countries that are in the news a lot. But the top 5 were, in order, Taiwan, the UK, South Korea, Japan, Germany.
Yeah, all of those make sense, and then you would think, where's America?
And we're
That's
behind a
like,
country that is in the midst of a huge corruption scandal. Um, South Africa doesn't even
mm-hmm.
have enough electricity to support the whole country right now. So they're doing rolling blackouts.
Yeah, and we're behind that. It's
Yeah, we were listed behind them. I think that's disturbing.
yeah.
I can try to find the source again. I remember just seeing it like on a whim this morning, and I was like, I saw it like before that, but I saw it this morning because we were above South Africa up until like 2 days ago, apparently.
Yeah, that's definitely interesting. I did want to mention, going back to some of the ProPublica released this today.
Yeah.
On a report detailing back in 2008 with Clarence Thomas, he took a flight to Alaska on a plane owned by a GOP mega donor. He argued in a preemptive essay, and yeah, he had a tally at 38 destination vacations, 26 private jet flights, 8 helicopter trips, and a dozen VIP tickets to sporting events, which would require disclosure either then or tighten rules. And so Samuel Alito was typed in a lot of a part of that. And I mean, the law in question is that the Ethics in the Government Acts, how that should be applied to them, and if there would ever somehow like impeachment inquiries or things for him are like unlikely. But that was damning to see exactly what was kind of for decades what he's kind of been doing.
And I'm gonna throw a concept out here that I know a lot of people are not gonna like. So in the event that you are, you know, in the event that any of our viewers are, super like ultra conservative, I am sorry for what I'm about to say. But at the same time, I'm not sorry because this is a proposal I think needs to happen. Let's introduce term limits for Congress and the Supreme Court. Let's start electing Supreme Court. Leave it up to the people.
Oh yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we've seen too many presidents now pack the Supreme Court, and it's just becoming a problem.
It's exactly what was proposed to happen in 2016. That Trump would superstack the Supreme Court for political gain, and over the year recent Roe v. Wade and
And he did.
recent ones with so many. And he said he was going to do that, and it really was. He was responsible, pretty much.
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty shocking.
It's Gorsuch, Brett Kavanaugh, Amy Coney Barrett. I mean, look, coincidental things that has happened throughout the year with Ruth Gator Ginsburg passing away, and
rest in peace, RBG.
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
And a corrupt SCOTUS over the past couple of years.
Yeah. And I think and our opinions, I think that's a big part of why we are staying anonymous. I think part of it is the fact that, people we know that have different political views, will watch this. But I think that's only part of it. I think, if we were to, state our, actual identities, I think there are some people that would definitely come after us for that.
It's a risk we're willing to take.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm going to quote Jason Aldean here, because the city we live in, arguably it's a small town, arguably it's not. Depends on who you ask, but try that shit in a small town.
Yeah, we just declared the city for emergency today, so that's I won't go into detail, but yeah, we're yay.
Yay, flooding. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is probably the most cursed thing I've ever said. Oh my god.
And you just stumped yourself there, but
I had to clean up flood damage this week.
You would have to come to that in the summer, but
yeah, and it's crazy because normally we don't get a lot of rain.
I don't know.
This year, it's been raining every day.
I don't know how it's become a Florida summer here. It's become
Christ.
If it's not raining, it's humid and just what's happening?
Well, it's no longer global warming, it's global boiling.
This is why global boiling is real.
This is why it's a term, guys.
Yeah. Do we want to switch to? So we didn't really touch on last episode. Marjorie Taylor Greene. You want to?
Oh God.
There's a lot to. While we're in that kind of, where people know where we kind of stand for.
There were some harsh words exchanged between her and Lauren Boebert, who are quite practically the same person because their ideology is the same, their goals are the same, their beliefs are the same. They're practically the same person, so it's actually funny that they hate each other, but they were basically calling each other sluts on the Congress floor.
I find it amazing that was the final straw to be kicked out of the Freedom House caucus. That her and Lauren Boebert, they were discussing, and she was calling Boebert a little bitch, and over Biden impeachment decisions, over which one was a bigger case. That was what started the argument.
Hear me out. The undercard fight for the Zuckerberg versus Musk fight has to be Marjorie versus Lauren. That has to be the undercard fight.
If it doesn't work, because Zuckerberg's unfortunately, because I would really hype for that fight, but Elon's not. He's not confirming a date. He's saying I got to do surgery first. He's making a lot of excuses, unfortunately. So I'm hoping it still happens. But
we do know that Elon does have health problems, but I don't know what's up with that. But if it happens, I still say Elon's gonna win.
Yeah, you could say him being like the richest in the world are at 238 billion. Maybe he doesn't want to risk it if he thinks something's going to happen. In his epic location, he called it.
Yeah, we already know it's the Coliseum.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah.
I no matter what, if it happens, I am buying the pay-per-view.
I really hope that's one of the greatest concepts. I mean, it's like Zuckerberg just seems more on board. Like he's like if nothing, I'm gonna move on and go to people who actually want to fight me. He's if Elon doesn't like confirm, but I hope he does.
Yeah,
That'll be great.
it's amazing.
But yeah, back to Marjorie.
Do we want? Christian, we do want to talk about this because I cannot believe this happened on the Congress floor. Other than the Marjorie versus Lauren argument, Marjorie did something unthinkable and basically pulled a whole Twitter. That's what I'm just gonna say, pulling a Twitter, because that's exactly what goes down on the platform now.
That's what she does.
Yeah. Marjorie leaked Hunter Biden's nudes on the Congress floor.
Yeah.
That,
Unreal.
it's a shame that Fallout Boy wrote, "We didn't start the fire" before that happened.
Yeah, she had tweeted out, she was like, "Here is proof Hunter Biden paid prostitutes through his law firm. Da, 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 da. Here's this, that," and like they're just like, should we even be showing this? Like they're just stunned.
We didn't need to see that. Like, that's scarring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The big thing I'd say about it's a waste of money. Like, what relevance do Hunter Biden's personal struggles in substance abuse and his interactions with sex workers bear on President Biden's work for the American people? That's what why squander probing a private citizen who's openly admitted to his issues, written a book about the challenges, and he's attempting to make, and they're just like, she's been the most relentless, like with zero concrete evidence against any of months ago, proof of these severe crimes, and still nothing. It's still going on with a special counsel. It's like, which probably they might find some they might push him on some with tax evasion with that, but it's like, and I'm not defending it, but it's like it's a personal matter, and they've turned it like we're getting to this point.
We're getting to a point where they're taking it too far. They're blaming Joe for everything, and it's just like, that's not his fault whatsoever.
Yeah. Your desperation has led you to blame the entire Biden family for the actions of one adult. Like, she's starting to become like another Alex Jones with those school victims. It's almost getting to that. Like, I hate to compare it, but it's almost, she's getting to that kind of point with just she's too radical to even be a representative.
Yeah. At this point, I think there needs to be an investigation into the Republican Party, because they have strayed away from their traditional values so far that it's become, and pardon my language here, but it's just become like an entire clusterfuck of people that are borderline neo-Nazis.
Yeah. Just over the years, it's way more extreme, and as we anti-democracy, as we've seen with January 6th, we get into the selling of the Iraq War, all that. I mean, with Trump and DeSantis, is more and more extreme. You know, all the blame hatred and punishing people like Dr. Fauci and their anger and willingness for violence. That's just what it's ramped up. More. I mean, it's a make America great again. I've talked. I mean, if you're going to say that, you're certainly not counting African Americans. When was it ever great for them? You know, just that whole slogan in general.
Yeah.
It's just,
and I think it's a perfect time to talk about J6, and I'm gonna bring up a point that it's kind of related to a horror movie, but at the same time, this in theory could have happened. So I'm not really a horror movie fan. I haven't watched the Purge movies, but I know enough about it to know that the new founding fathers of America and the films, basically what the GOP is right now.
Yeah, the founding fathers would weltering in their grave right now.
Yeah, and the NFFA from the Purge movies, that is the
Mm-hmm.
GOP right now, and I feel like J6 was the closest we've actually ever come to like having a full on purge.
Oh yeah.
Because like I remember being in the car, like when that was happening, and I was like seeing a lot of talk about like riots and stuff, and I was like, well, shit. And then it got to the point where it was like, oh, this isn't a joke. This is actually happening. Because like at first I couldn't even believe it was happening, and then it just kind of like hit me, and then I was like, wait, they're basically doing something that happened in the Purge election year.
Yeah. That day arguably changed my life in the aspect of wanting to just look at it and being like, what? This is not the last time the Insurrection Act happened was since the Civil War, when that was burned down, and what is how when it did actually I didn't really even pay too much because wasn't sure what was going on until the next day, where I learned it in school through my 8th grade teacher, who English, but he was like, yesterday was such a extraordinary day that I have to take the time to teach this as a class, and he just took and explained the entire day on the day after, and more and more I've written I've so much studies into the case, and I think it is the most serious one. Before even there was one thing I looked at from Pennsylvania, two conservative legal scholars that argued Section 3 of the 14th Amendment disqualifies Trump from future federal office. In the Constitution, in Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, it's no person shall be a senator or representative in Congress, or elector of president and vice president, or hold any office, civil or military, under the United States or under any state, who having previously taken an oath as a member of Congress or as an officer of the United States or as a member of any state legislature, as an executive or judicial officer of any state, to support the Constitution of the United States, shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same, or given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof, but Congress may by a vote of 2/3 of each house remove such disability. He is not unfit for no. It disqualifies him. Who am I to quill the expertise?
Yeah, I feel the same way. Not only that, but technically an insurrection is an act of treason.
Yes, which is
So
huge.
that's punishable by death.
Yeah.
No, I'm not
Yeah.
saying we're ever going to see Trump on death row, but at this point, I feel like they should probably look at giving him like a life sentence or something, because that's not a small thing.
Mhm. That case, yeah, is 4 counts with up to 55 years in jail, max sentence for that. And then we've talked all of his charges somehow would be up to 650 years, but specific Jan 6 would be up to 55, and it really would come to Mike Pence, in how it would come down on a conviction. X-Files host Bill O'Reilly said, quote, "There's only one guy that can convict Donald Trump, and that's Mike Pence. If Pence goes to the courtroom and says, quote, if Donald Trump knew the election was a fraud, but he said it anyways, I can prove it, and here's the proof," that would be what would go down in front of the judge. That's the biggest thing to prove for a conviction.
Definitely.
Which, yeah. what's almost is on January 5th, 2021. What was tweeted by Roll Call. It was that new Ohio Senator Charles Grassley, the Senate President pro tempore, who's fourth in line behind the Vice President. He and not Vice President Mike Pence will preside over the certification of electoral college votes, since we don't expect him to be there. Where did Senator Grassley expect Pence to be on J6 when he made that morning announcement on January 5th? If Pence was absent, that means the pro tempore would act upon the Senate and turn the votes over to Trump theoretically. That was the biggest thing that they wanted. That could have been close because Pence didn't let that happen, but that's all they had to do.
Yeah. Now, in more recent news, still surrounding Donald Trump, Trump went ahead and claimed that Joe Biden will be the cause of World War III.
He's really going at, Crooked Joe. That's what it was. It's the other, but he was to blame for the World Cup.
He needs to come up with a new insult because he was calling Hillary the same thing. It was Crooked Hillary. Now it's Crooked Joe.
He doesn't change.
It's not even Sleepy Joe anymore.
Mm-hmm. 70 plus years of his life, he's just never changed. Always pleads not guilty to everything, sues everybody, never changed.
It's bad.
Yeah.
It's actually horrible. Like, I don't know what makes him think he has the right to do it.
No. Yeah, so I would. I'd say Donald Trump is a paradox. I think he's a man who could never keep his mouth shut, even in his own best interest. And then at the same time, he's constantly retreating from previous positions, and then refusing to spell orders right when that arrives.
Yeah.
I think Jack Smith, the special counsel who investigated his charges, the 2020, that's the hardest one. I think the biggest thing that's obvious was that Trump was committed to staying in the Oval Office right after November 2020, when he heard that he's never conceded. He's, an interview was like, "Are you going to concede? If this happens?" He's like, "We don't concede. You're going to fight like hell. If you don't fight like hell, we're not going to have a country." And being able to prove what was building in his head in the weeks and months after the election leading up to J6 is really what the federal jury and investigators are going to have to prove. Because they do have a smart plan, a lot of evidence that I think they'll have to convict, which we've said. So
yeah, it's absolutely crazy.
Yeah. I think shout out to my Uncle Paul. I think Liz Cheney's one of his favorite. I think, quote, "Tonight I say this to my Republican colleagues who are defending the indefensible. There will come a day when Donald Trump is gone, but your dishonor will remain." Vice chair of the committee.
No, that is one hell of a quote.
Yeah. I think what's the most remarkable about all of the charges, because you can debate whether the state charges, the whole Stormy Daniels and everything. I think you can debate whether that's even significant or not, because I think the U.S. and I think Trump's familiar with his cases turning cold. I think, and then the classified documents one, a lot of damning evidence, which I think Trump's mobster persona comes into play. I think Chris Christie. He called it the Corleones with no experience. Trump had
That's
he had his aide, Walt Nauta, the Fredo of the family, including employee Carlos de Oliveira, attempt to delete surveillance footage after investigators issued a subpoena, and Trump withholding classified documents after 18 months of the government voluntarily asking for it. And at one point, the difference, because yes, Pence and Biden also have been accused of mishandling classified documents. But Pence was unaware the documents had been mixed with his personal items stored at home. He cooperated fully. DOJ closed Pence's case with no charges. Biden was also unaware of alleged documents had mixed with any personal items stored at home. The Penn Biden Center, he also cooperated fully. And a special counsel is investigating his case, Robert Hur, but other the side are saying, Kevin McCarthy, we want impeachment, the impeachment inquiry, all these, which there's just still no evidence, which I've repeated all these things going on, and then Garland appointing David Weiss, House Special. So there's three of those going on. But yeah, but those points, but that January is the most serious of them with the most evidence. That's where you can really debate that one's the most damning.
Yeah, I'd say that's insanely accurate.
Yeah, August 3rd, 2023 was different because that was the first time Trump was arraigned for what he did in office. And I think, because the documents were really like the days, right before he left, and then first one was years before. But yeah, the J6 case, it's focused on premeditated, long-running elector plots with 6 co-conspirators, which I'd like to get into. But I think it's a smarter case to prove. All emails and all the documents that instead of actually trying to prove the violence and to show the documented violence, and because you can't just willingly spread falsehoods too. That as well.
Yeah, this whole situation with Trump, I swear to God, every time that man speaks, I get an instant headache.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to remind people that this man was telling us to inject Clorox to kill the coronavirus.
Mm-hmm.
Not a man who should be leading a country.
Yeah. And like as going to the beginning of the numbers, why is still dominating. People don't care. They're not focusing. They're not. He's someone who's hated the government. Who's when the people who had hey, I'm going to vote for him again. That's the they don't pay attention to what because he's always been this way, and it's just leading up to the pressure mounting on and legal heat going up throughout the weeks, and in the Georgia one too, that will be Jenny Willis for format to the federal jury. That'll be at the earliest. Fourth indictment would be early next week. So
Georgia's practically on the brink of civil war, which doesn't make any sense because they're like a state in the union, but they're on the brink of their like own civil war.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Georgia, because it's like it's a blue state, but yet it's purple. It's really divided, but they're willing to take this the most seriously. I'd mentioned that they already got the barricades and they'd give them a mugshot, and yeah.
Let's
Yeah, I did want to touch on the 6 co-conspirators, but before closing the because it did because like Nixon back in Watergate, he was listed as an unindicted co-conspirator. This has happened before.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the leading of it, because Rudy Giuliani is co-conspirator 1. He's a former Trump lawyer, the mayor of New York City.
Yep.
I think the indictment quotes a voicemail that co-conspirator 1 left for a U.S. senator on J6. This matches quotes from Giuliani's quotes intended for GOP Senator Tommy Tuberville, reported by CNN. Ted Goodman, who's a political advisor to Rudy, said in a statement, "But every fact that Mayor Rudy possesses about this case establishes a good faith basis that President Trump had for the actions he took." Okay.
Yeah.
Then there's John Eastman. He was one of the biggest, former Trump lawyer, co-conspirator too.
Yeah.
States that he circulated a 2-page with plans for Pence to overturn the 2020 election. Quotes from the memo matched a 2-page document that Eastman wrote, reported by Charles Vernon, an attorney for Eastman, saying that the indictment relies on a misleading presentation of the record. And that Eastman was arrested by the FBI. He seized phone records in 2022, and he faces disappearance with proceedings. Sidney Powell, the third one. Trump even said that she sounded crazy. 3 filed a suit against the governor of Georgia, which matched a federal lawsuit Powell filed against Georgia Governor Kemp. She was a big over the Fox News, losing $787.5 million, over Powell's claims. It was Jeffrey Clark, who's a former DOJ official, which that's a real big, because he was using the Department of Justice to really try to overturn it, and he had an email rebutting his attempts to use the department. And then in 2022, a DOJ search warrant came for him. And then Kenneth Cheeseborough, he's a pro-Trump lawyer. The indictment references that 5 sent to Rudy on December 13th about fake elector plots. And then I think the 6th one hasn't been confirmed, but that could either be Boris Epstein or Ginny Thomas. Boris Epstein's he was a former campaign advisor for Trump, and then Ginny Thomas is Clarence and Thomas's wife, who so that's kind of the legal breakdown.
Now, there's a lot to talk about. Let's talk about a bit of international news, shall we?
Okay.
So, are you aware as to what is happening in the continent of Africa right now?
I think there were also some fires going over there too, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but those were intentional. Those were more slash and burn. And
Okay.
And the reason I'm saying that is because right now we are about to see a major war break out in Africa.
Okay. Interesting.
So Niger just had the president overthrown. And so NATO sent a bunch of peacekeeping forces. The U.S. isn't really backing either side. France backed the more democratic side, which really marks the first time they've gotten involved in any world conflict since like the 1940s. And essentially what they're doing is, they're trying to restore order to Niger, but also like help it become more democratic. At the same time, Russia's backing the group that wants it to be like more authoritarian.
Yeah.
And so we are literally seeing, because I want to keep in mind, this is how Korea started, this is how Vietnam started, Cambodia, Laos, even China, Greece, Grenada. All those wars started because of NATO versus Russia, having proxy wars during the Cold War in the days of the Soviet Union.
So are you saying that African countries are starting to clash with each other?
African countries are starting to internally clash and externally clash, yeah, because Mali and Burkina Faso are both now getting involved despite them having political instability of their own. They're also on the brink of civil war. Meanwhile, Ethiopia is threatening to blow up a dam on the Nile River because Sudan is trying to claim that they own the entire Nile all the way up to the Mediterranean Sea when the Nile starts in Ethiopia.
Okay.
So Ethiopia is threatening to blow up a dam, and Sudan's like arguably pissed about this. At the same time, Sudan can't really do much of anything about it because of South Sudan.
That makes sense.
Because South Sudan is that I yeah, they only got independence in 2011. So they are the world's newest country, only been around for about 12 years. But and they're still like the world's most dangerous country.
Mm-hmm.
But Sudan really wants that land back, and it's looking like they're going to do anything they can to take it. So we are about to see a major war in North Africa break out. At the same time, Central and Southern Africa, they're also on the brink. I think we are about to see. I'm not going to call it World War Africa because that just doesn't make sense. But
Yeah.
I'd say Continental War Africa.
No, are there parts of Africa included in NATO? Or
None yet. I do believe at one point Morocco tried to join, and that ended up getting vetoed.
okay.
Which doesn't really surprise me.
I don't even know how America's terms are with Africa, to be completely honest.
China's trying to loop almost all of Africa under the Belt and Road Initiative.
That doesn't sound good.
Yeah. Of course, China is trying to do that. North Korea randomly is aligning themselves with Zimbabwe.
I'm surprised Kim wants to make friends.
I think
outside of his inner bubble.
Kim is in need of friends right now because I think he realized Xi Jinping is not who we thought he was.
Yeah, I don't. No one should trust Xi Jinping. I don't know. I'm gonna get attacked for that.
Oh yeah, considering the amount of like YouTube bots that are just like filling comment sections with Chinese propaganda nowadays. Oh god, I just want to keep in mind that a lot of people think Xi Jinping is cool. Like a lot of people in the USA think he's cool because his New Year's address he opened with "What's up, Beijing."
Interesting.
Yeah, and that's
Oh yeah. I remember that.
yeah. So a lot of people think he's cool because of that, when in reality this man is literally committing genocide in his own country. A lot of instability around the world right now.
Yeah, Biden made a deal with China the other day, right? Because he declared China a currency manipulator. I think he said that then would use that to make a new trade agreement that would benefit the U.S. more than the old way.
Biden said that was in his best interests, but
yeah,
I think right now Biden should be focusing on the Chinese and Russian warships that just popped up off the coast of Alaska.
yeah, something's going on.
That's scary because if you remember a couple of years ago there was like a Russian sub in Washington State. You know, Russia's always trying to get intelligence, but the fact that they're now sending warships, it's looking a lot like they're trying to do something there, which my question is, why would you attempt to invade Alaska? Because Alaska, they've got a pretty good track record because they barely had any Americans, they barely had any Canadians. In World War II, they barely had any of them fighting up there because Alaska didn't see much fighting. The Japanese got to one island and a Native American tribe with the help of maybe like 5 Americans and 2 Canadians pushed them completely out of Alaska.
Interesting. What's that about?
It was like the Japanese tried to invade Alaska in the 1940s,
Yep.
and the Native Americans up there were like, "Yeah, hell no, this is not gonna fly."
Yeah, because yeah, wasn't it? There's the Willow Project is also in Alaska. I think. Did you agree? How'd you feel about that? I mean, that's not new, but
I'm trying to remember what that is because that sounds very
that's
similar.
because that's in Alaska.
Oh
But
yeah,
you're
yeah.
two different things going on in Alaska. Yeah, it was the Alaska oil drilling venture back in March. That's not different from the more of a climate issue. And
I don't really have an opinion on that one.
yeah, what I guess speaking of climate, what going to Antarctica isn't literally. I think I had heard like 25% of a glacier is like gone. Like there now, there's like significantly some melting going on.
Not only is that happening, there is green on Antarctica right now.
Yeah, that's I didn't even. That's just a new step. I didn't even. It's getting more and more. Which
Yeah.
I did we want to talk about Barack Obama the other day? He
Oh, we
floated
have
back in the
not
news.
gotten to that yet. Okay.
uh, I get back the New York Post. I get back in a quote in 1982. Then 21, he wrote, in regard to homosexuality, I must say that I believe this is an attempt to remove oneself from the present, a refusal perhaps to perpetuate the endless farce of earthly life. You see, I make love to men daily, but in the imagination.
Yep. So it looks like we've already had a LGBTQ plus president.
It was I was the resurgence of the Big Mike comments and the conspiracy of Michelle not being Michelle,
I forgot about that.
which is
That
I'm not
that's
defending that.
that is something I'd call a bong thought.
Yeah, that's how that perpetuated in
I
discussion.
yeah. Speaking of weed, apparently that might become legal in more places across the U.S.
I I agree with that. I love how you vote each section with with weed. I think yeah. What I'm blanking on the candidate who's the candidate's name? Froman would be proud.
Afroman, yeah.
I blanked on his name. But how could I?
Oh, by the way, we gotta talk about the Justin Trudeau situation up north.
I heard about that. That's what. Yeah, I was not enough people are caring about the divorce.
Yeah, I wonder what's going on with that. Not a whole lot of details are there.
No, I guess not a lot of people are because what's going to happen to her after that?
She's probably gonna move on, but
He's 51. I thought he was younger.
the amount
Now
of people,
they're in vacation right now.
yeah,
Interesting,
and the amount
but
of
yeah,
people,
surprisingly, not a whole lot going on with them.
and the amount of people I have heard refer to Trudeau as my Canadian boyfriend is absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you said Madonna wanted a bomb? That you had mentioned that to me.
Okay. Yeah. So Madonna, said that she would bomb the White House if Donald Trump or anyone aligned with him ended up president.
Which, yeah, I don't disagree. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, and I was like, if it's him, DeSantis, or Burgum, I think that would be also in that same boat.
Definitely, yeah.
Did we want to touch into the Lil Tay news over the
Let's
past
dive
week?
into that because that is extremely confusing.
It is. You know more about it than I do, but yeah, it's at 14. She was 14, and her brother too. Unexpectedly out of nowhere, released on her Instagram account that her and her brother had passed away in a jet ski accident, and then a day later, she's not dead, and and that her Instagram account had got hacked, and in a huge statement, she was like, I've been completely traumatized, and in the past 24 hours, just the amount of news and overwhelming news I've received, and that I'm not, and that it was hacked, and which is so many confused what actually happened, and yeah,
Now, it's not even. Now, you have to remember that in 2017 or 2016, I forget, when she like got mad popular, but she was like claiming, "Oh yeah, I'm 9 years old. I'm the youngest flexor of the century." And like, here's the thing: her official date of birth is listed in 2007, which would make her 16, not 14.
interesting.
On
And
top of that, yeah, so she was like faking her age by 2 years. She was acting 2 years younger than she actually was. Now, there is a lot of stuff surrounding the whole situation. Now, allegedly, Vancouver police and Los Angeles police were not notified about any death regarding Lil Tay. Additionally, the name they're claiming is like her legal name, which is Claire Eileen Chi Hope. Yeah, there is no one listed in either Vancouver or LA with that name.
yeah, interesting.
Now,
I don't know
yeah,
where that the hacking IP address went to, in that this isn't even the first time that she's been hacked before. There was one in 2020 where there was huge allegations of her uh, father being abusive, and was this that did a lot to her and her brother, and uh, against it, and the brother never really came out and said anything about that. And I think it was throughout has just used a lot of her identity to get money, uh, and yeah, when she was 9, and came out and did it and flashed all her money in cars, and that wasn't even her family had forced her to do that. It wasn't even her. She wasn't even at will for most of her publicity. So I definitely she had gone through a lot of. So I wouldn't even. So if she even knew about her birth certificate, if she even if that was more of her parents who did that,
yeah.
then
And she did seem like older than she was claiming to be in
yeah,
those videos. Um, because let's face it, I have only ever met one 9-year-old who swears like that, and um, well, yeah, there it's extremely unusual. Now, I think the difference is that I think what's going on here is that yes, Lil Tay's father's last name is Hope, so there is a possibility that, like, her real name could be Claire Hope, but but the rest of her family, their last name is Tian, and I'm seeing conflicting reports with that, and I'm seeing that like her name is like legally like Tay Tian.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, TMZ did like a full dive-in investigation into like they even like spoke to Lil Tay directly and just didn't even know and that the hackers allegedly I think they had called TMZ like claiming to be a representative for Lil Tay's family with a press release saying that like her and her brother had died at their mother's home in Vancouver and this and that, like that's like if they do discover who that is, yeah.
Yeah, something just doesn't seem right.
Definitely something off with that whole thing. Um, yeah.
No, I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna say much about this. Because I have arachnophobia. But did you hear about that spider in Austria?
I did not.
Okay, so there was basically at this like farmer's market or something. There's a spider that like got loose and it's like pretty dangerous. Now, depending on like the severity of the bite, it can result in death. But for most people, I am not kidding. It will result in permanent erections.
If bitten,
Yeah,
permanent, like
yeah, yeah.
huh? It discovered in Austria. That I
They had
that
known about this species before. It randomly popped up in Austria, and I think it's native to like Brazil or something.
it heighten your fears of arachnophobia.
Yeah, yeah. Which marks the second time this year because they discovered like this giant like spider in Australia that has like a huge wingspan. I'm not gonna dive more into that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna have you have a panic attack and full on. If
Yeah,
there's
but
yeah,
I
I went
figured that was newsworthy.
yeah. Most spiders aren't harmful, and yet I'll feel that I don't want them anywhere near my vicinity. uh,
Yeah.
yeah. I get
Uh,
going, but a couple days ago, I get the FBI had shot a man in Utah who
oh,
had
I heard about that.
who had threatened to assassinate President Biden, Alvin Bragg, even Attorney General Garland, and they're not even like Bragg's not even crazy names. A lot of people, but they're reoccurring names that Trump has said in Truth Social multiple times. I think this guy was in his 70s. I think I think he had posted out this big that he did he should bunch of weapons and that Biden was on his way to Utah and that he was going to have a whole bunch of weapons ready and agents were attempting to serve a search warrant at the home when I'm assuming he probably shot fire first and then he was shot and killed and yeah.
And
Like,
I'm not saying this is what happened, but I think that the timing. I think he may have gotten the inspiration from the assassination of one of Ecuador's presidential candidates.
you think, well,
Do you hear about
I mean,
that?
this guy was like, I think he was like 73. Like he probably was
True
had a lot of
social.
mentally, but I don't. I'm not sure if I. Yeah, you can go into that.
True social, definitely. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, like definitely in my opinion needs to be shut down because it's doing more harm than good at this point.
yeah. even before Truth Social, the whole QAnon and the entire just group and what that had brought to light, and fueled by theories and also the former POTUS.
Yeah, and a huge thing about QAnon is like the whole human trafficking thing that obviously horrible thing to go through. But something that I don't think we got to last time was so there's this movie that came out starring Jim Caviezel. It's called The Sound of Freedom.
And we did not get into it.
And yeah, we didn't. But one of the people who worked on it was arrested on kidnapping charges.
Yes, the funder of the film, which is just insane.
Like, do they not do background checks on these people?
Yeah, I mean, pardon me, but it was fucked up. It was
the general irony of the situation. Yeah. It's just mind-blowing.
I get the media posts and court documents for showing that Fabian Marta, 51, Missouri, was charged with the felony kidnapping. And he was of Sound of Freedom, which tells the story of an anti-child sex trafficking organization.
And that makes sense. He's from Missouri. You know who else is from Missouri originally?
You.
Yeah. Yeah. All Missourians are a little crazy, but I think I am. Like, I'm not saying I'm the exception here, but I'm saying I'm crazy in different ways.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
There was another story that I had heard, which was just like newsworthy, but like crazy. Because I didn't know him until Kai Cenat.
Kai Cenat?
Yeah. He had no warning to the police department, and just went out and really that he was going to on a live that he was going to go out and free PlayStations so that everyone can come out in New York, and that just absolute chaos. And he got arrested for that. There was inciting a riot and just and just creating chaos.
Circling back to the Sound of Freedom, because I did want to get to this. The lead actor in the movie, Jim Caviezel, has made some very interesting claims in the past.
Oh yeah, Jim Caviezel's also he's cooked.
I am going to pull up an article here, because, and I'm gonna read you some quotes that he has said.
I also have some.
Starting off with, I also want to say to Donald Trump, then when you watch this movie, you will be at peace and rest, because you, more than anyone, have done incredible things Jesus talks about, that faith without works is dead. Going on to state, I believe Donald Trump was selected by God Almighty, and I'm talking about the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.
That's what I was going to quote, so you said it right there. Claiming that liberal elites drink the blood of infants, and did you see Trump's review of Sound of Freedom?
I have not seen that.
He did not watch the movie. He had no idea. He was just going along with it as usual.
We have to start posting reaction videos.
Yeah, we have been talking about horror movies. We could do sound. Yeah, you were telling me about. Yeah, I saw Speak No Evil the other day. Was insane.
I've not heard anything about that movie.
It's a Danish film, but it's English. But yeah, it was like one of the crazy psychological horror films. I'm just like, I couldn't take my eyes off. Like,
they're making an American version.
Okay.
Yeah, starring James McAvoy, Mackenzie Davis, Scoot McNairy, and Alex West Leffler.
Speak No Evil?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
They're making an American version, but I'm
I'll
gonna
check that
see
out.
who's in the original. Oh. Um, Hicham Yakubi's in it. I don't
It
know
came
why
out
that name sounds
in
familiar.
2022.
Yeah.
It- yeah. Yeah, I'd recommend. I think. Yeah. I'm assuming you're a fan of the Scream franchise. You were telling me about that.
Absolutely. I love the Scream franchise. By the way, they just announced Scream 7 coming out in either 2024 or 2025, and that is going to be directed by Christopher Landon.
Well,
Yeah. But I just watched Scream 6 today. It's pretty cool. It's actually one of my favorite horror movies. It's not my favorite in the franchise, though.
okay.
It is definitely not my favorite. But yeah, it did put a couple of people on the map, from what I've heard.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, like because like in the past few like months, I've been saying like a whole lot about like how these people are getting like more roles, but I'm seeing like Jack Champion, Liana Liberato, Devin Nakota, Josh Segara. They all got like mad popular off it.
Yeah.
And of course, we're not even talking about Scream 5's cast because that was a goated cast.
Mm-hmm.
That's like how Melissa Barrera got like super popular. That's how Jenna Ortega got
Yeah,
kind
Jenna
of popular.
Ortega. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I
Wednesday.
mean, Wednesday and yeah, I'd back in stuck in the middle days, but
Oh yeah,
yeah,
the childhood nostalgia right there.
right. That was a great show as a kid.
I remember like watching Stuck in the Middle, and it's crazy to see how like really only one person from that show is like even known at all.
Yeah, I couldn't name any of the other casts besides Jenna Ortega.
I can name like 3 others, but that's just because
Fandom.
I'm not a. There's a fandom.
Not that I know of. There probably is. But
Oh God, I don't want to know.
yeah. Not that kind of fandom. But yeah, have you like the Exorcist franchise? That's kind of turning
Never
into a
seen it.
franchise now.
Never seen it.
I haven't I been willing to see the full original, but I've seen like obviously bits and pieces. I know the story, but the trailer of the one coming out in October looks terrifying. It's two people possessed in it. Yeah.
I think the next horror movie franchise for me, um, I don't know. I'm kind of leaning towards either, you know, Halloween or Friday the 13th. I like had no interest in seeing The Purge up until like J6, and then that was just like, oh shit, I need to know like what could possibly go down here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I prefer the Halloween franchise, but yeah, Friday the 13th franchise is my dad's favorite, and yeah, I mean, Conjuring series is really good. I like Conjuring 2 is like top 5 favorite. What is your top 5 favorite movies? Like what? Like
Just any genre.
yeah, just flat out all time.
Oh god, that is a tough one. Okay, I'm gonna have to go with The Hunger Games at number 1.
Okay,
Um,
great series.
Cars at number 2.
Cars.
Yep, the childhood nostalgia.
Goated animated.
Absolutely. Number three. Number three, I'm gonna have to go with Harry Potter.
Classic series.
Absolutely. Number four, definitely Scream.
Okay.
And then number five, um, oh, that's a tough one for that last spot. Um,
Go Scream 6.
I'm gonna go with Field of Dreams. Actually,
That's a good movie. That's as not even as just someone who knows of baseball. I'd rank that as one of the best baseball films.
yes, and it's an '80s classic, so I probably just dated myself there.
Yeah. I'd say my top five. One's got Perks of Being a Wallflower is like
I've never
it.
seen that.
It's I'd read the book freshman year and then I had to watch the movie. I've just never a high school story like that. It's the best high school movie film story of all time. And then yeah, two Misery. That's another psychological horror classic that I will watch every Halloween. I never. It's just it's one of my classics. Like yeah, Annie Wilkes and just like the whole like this like cabin like he's an author gets in a car accident and just yeah. I think three's probably Prisoners or abuse Prisoners.
No.
It's like Hugh Jackman. It's like a kidnapping. It's a good movie. It was another like intense for yeah. Four's yeah like the whole Conjuring series. Right? So like Conjuring 2's my favorite. I like they're all like pretty much based on true events. They're all really yeah they're all really and then yeah five is I got to speak no evil. I got to slip in because I was just such a yeah that movie was something else. I had to see it again after, but so yeah. Yeah.
Oh, now I'm really regretting making that top five list too early because Shawshank Redemption and Die Hard
Okay.
are in there.
Both classics.
Absolutely. Um, Another one that I like is The Maze Runner.
Okay.
Then I'm not sure if you've ever seen it. It's called Galaxy Quest.
I've heard of it.
Tim Allen, Sigourney Weaver, John
Okay.
Turturro, Sam Rockwell. It's pretty good.
Cool. Yeah, glad we touched on movies. That was yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
So yeah, would you want to do like a streaming of it for the Republican debate? I don't know if that's 10 days away. I don't. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty close.
Because yeah. Because like next week we could do like a shorter like episode
Okay.
of like the weekly podcast and then just stream the debate and then in total that would actually be like longer.
Okay. Yeah.
But let's.
That,
But I'm praying that one thing happens.
to help the ratings is that
Well,
does
that
or doesn't.
yeah, I'm praying that does, but I'm praying that does happen. But the other thing that I want to see happen is I want to see someone just tell Donald Trump, "Will you just shut up, man?"
Besides Joe Biden.
Yes, I will never forget that moment.
because I honestly, Chris Christie is probably the only one who's gonna be like attacking him, and then and Pence, he's I hope he'll show. I hope, but I don't. He's still like now he's starting to attack. He's free because once you the other he completely just admitted to everything. Like he would. So now now the base is it's you're he's kind of done. Like once you attack the bear, as what has been shown, you're like you're just you tank down like the which isn't. I mean, except if Christie would somehow, because that'd be a more if that'd be a more realistic primary. We should be able to if he would be convicted before the primaries, that we would Republicans should be able to have a clear free without MAGA headache, but that's what the whole party is now.
Here's the thing. If they were to convict Trump, that would almost definitely secure the nomination for DeSantis.
Which is so it's like in he's arguably somehow worse. So
that's something the U.S. can't afford.
It's
the U.S. cannot
that's where the
afford for
party's
DeSantis. Yeah, just can't afford for DeSantis to end up winning the nomination, because I think it's starting to become obvious that Joe Biden is not going to win a second term.
That was a hot take.
And it's not that he doesn't deserve it. It's that a lot of people are noticing that, he's going to be 82 when his term expires, and at the end of his second term, if he wins, he's going to be 86. So there's a good possibility, into the second term, we might see President Harris, and a lot of people hate her.
Yeah. Nikki Haley's approach of everything, she's not even. It's the other. She barely brought up Biden, and her main approach was basically just saying if you vote for it, you'd want President Harris, and so she's like, this is the kind of decision that you should be making, focusing. Yeah, it'd be surprising, not surprising. He's in the scenario he gets 4 years, and then he dies. Somehow midway in. And then that's how it would happen. And then America has seemed to bipartisanly agree that would be way worse for the country than Trump getting back in the office, which I disagree. So it's not that because I don't think President Harris that would fit. I don't think she's capable. She could prove me wrong. I'm with I know she's taking a forceful new role. The campaign needs her, but that's kind of where that's been, because most people that he is too old, and that, but no candidate has ever topped a sitting president either. So someone's RFK Jr. before, so he's still likely the nominee there, and it's an awkward polls are tied. So it's up to that 14% to really that's deciding.
That independent ticket between RFK Jr. and Perry Johnson is going to be the most hilarious thing.
Can you imagine they're just screw it, let's just run a campaign together?
I'm calling it. After the primaries are over, we're going to see that happen.
Yeah.
That would be quite utterly the funniest thing ever.
Yeah. I mean, Daddy, is this heaven? No, son, it's Iowa. DeSantis.
Oh my god. Ron DeSantis did appear socially awkward at the Iowa fair.
That's his biggest critique, that he's socially awkward in general. That video. Oh, is that an icy? That's a lot of sugar. Just okay.
Yeah. That quote reminded me of Vine. I can actually pull that up right now. The specific Vine I'm talking about.
Go for it.
I'm gonna send it Here we go. I need to figure out how to copy the link there. All right, got it. I'm gonna send it to you. Just that it gives me that vibe.
Oh, yeah.
100.
Be careful, children. That's a lot of sodium.
Exactly. Ron DeSantis
I
giving
see.
off
That's a lot of sugar.
Ron DeSantis giving off Vine energy.
Tell me the resemblance. Yeah. I see. No, yeah. Same thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I have a few more things that I just want to go over. Specifically, Tim Scott. Now, Donald Trump called him the token minority candidate. And ever since that happened, Tim Scott has been the subject of a bunch of like memes using token from South Park. Like, oh my god, he grew up so fast, and I was just like, do people not realize they have a digital footprint?
I hadn't heard about that. That's just wow.
Yeah.
That is interesting.
I have no idea what people were thinking with that.
Party never changes.
Yeah.
I get, yeah. You can find us after Twitter got sued $350,000 for finally the special counsel got a warrant for his Twitter account, which is also really damning to add that part.
Yeah.
That happened and yeah. And I think January 2nd would be a trial date at the earliest for that. And I've some people that they should broadcast the trial each. I don't know if you can broadcast a federal courtroom, but that would be.
We should do a reaction video to the SNL debate skits from 2020.
Those are classics.
Specifically, I remember this one where like Maya Rudolph, was like Kamala Harris, was like, "I'm America's fun aunt. I'm America's fun. I'm also America's cool aunt. I'm America's." Oh, okay, yeah, never mind. And I was just like, "How did they get away with this on TV?"
I mean, Alec Baldwin, Jim Carrey, the good recent cat. Or I don't think it's Alec Baldwin anymore, but
no, it was originally Jason Sudeikis as Biden, and then it ended up being Woody Harrelson. You probably know him as Tallahassee from Zombieland. As well as Haymitch from The Hunger Games, and probably just because he's a big old stoner. I don't smoke, but like I know a lot about like weed culture because a lot of people I know do smoke.
Friends,
friends, few family members, but not like direct family members.
It's just it's definitely what's still some people being incarcerated for that, and then other issues you talk about more and more states. It's and then you disagree with the whole more of a legalization of drug, kind of what Marianne Williamson kind of went on.
I don't disagree. I don't necessarily disagree with that. I just think it shouldn't be like totally legal. I think it should be just like treated as like a mental health issue, if anything.
Mm-hmm. I guess she's also like pushed for making the rich, pay their share of the taxes and decreased more on reasonable lean military spending. But like I said, no one has ever topped the sitting candidate. But
I'd consider voting for Marianne in the primaries, but at this point, I think I'm gonna just go Republican for the primaries, and the reason I'm gonna do that is because I want to get like a moderate Republican, like even just like one vote further. Someone
well,
like Chris Christie, Will Hurd.
Will Hurd he's way too down to the bottom. I think he even said that he wouldn't sign a pledge or anything because he said I don't want to have to lie to get to a microphone. He said so. I don't.
I respect him for that.
Yeah,
I really respect him for that.
He's been pretty respectful for that, but yeah.
I think he's a little too respectful for politics.
Yeah, he's almost like on a Liz Cheney kind of level of where that just doesn't really work with the party.
Ooh, that is a pretty good independent ticket there too. Liz Cheney, Will Hurd.
I was thinking, what's a good running mate for Liz Cheney? Yeah, I guess Will Hurd would be a.
Yeah, that would be pretty.
But I am surprised to hear say that you'd be wanting to vote for a Republican in the primaries.
I'm normally, You see, I'm normally anti-Republican, but the fact is we know Joe Biden is probably going to secure the Democratic nomination. And not to mention, the Republican Party has two of who I'd consider the most dangerous people in the world running.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're the top two in the polls, biggest threats to world peace. Donald Trump's out here claiming Joe Biden's going to start World War III. But Trump was warmongering with China. And you can argue Biden's really trying to kind of put things back together with both China and Russia here.
Yeah.
Obviously not much, but
That's why I find it silly. I mean, he has decades and decades of foreign experience. I'd say that he knows what he's doing with NATO, and I mean, the biggest critique why he's doing his own way. Why are we funding so much to Ukraine than America, and why the tax is so high? And it's where that has to be around. It's still funding it important for Ukraine than calling it corporate greed, or it's. I don't. He's not. It's not an approach to World War III. I think that's a silly comparison by him.
Biden's trying to prevent
it. Yeah.
And I think what's definitely happening there, obviously Trump wants to make Biden look as bad as possible.
The whole party does.
Yeah.
Including Chris Christie. In my opinion, the only scenario I'd vote for a Republican in 2024 is if it was a Biden Christie primary. I'd say
that's the only scenario.
I think so, in my opinion.
Never gonna happen. But Biden Hurd, I'd vote for. Actually, I don't know who I'd vote for in that case, because Hurd is. I think Will Hurd actually could be a Beto O'Rourke type of guy in the next few years. I think he could make the switch.
Yeah, I'd go 50-50. I mean, I'd be if Romney ran, I'd likely vote for him. I mean, I'm so a big fan of him.
Yep, if Baker ran, I'd vote for him.
Yep, I'd definitely vote for Baker.
I'd also vote. Yeah, I can't think of many more Republicans. I'd probably vote for Bill Weld.
I'd vote for that Cheney Hurd kind of ticket. Let's see where that would maybe go.
I would definitely vote for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's it's just where the polls are. Yeah, like just keeps it tied at 43, and then it's up to that 14% where that's going to go.
And I think we all know, like, whatever happens, I feel like this election will be the most important in American history. And the reason I say that is because there's so much on the line for millions of Americans, for minorities, for the LGBTQ plus community, for women. You know, anyone that isn't a straight white male. The Republicans, specifically Trump, DeSantis, and like Asa Hutchinson and Larry Elder, they're going after you.
Yeah, they're going to blame the white liberals ruining our country. When it was in 2016, it was a whitewash and not enough people voted. Through the I won't rest until I see him in a cage. It is that magnitude. I read section 3 of the 14th Amendment.
Donald Trump committed treason.
Yeah.
And so did everyone who took part in J6.
Yeah. Well, likely they're all unindicted co-conspirators, but they should all be a part of. And like, if Pence went along with it, he would have been a part of it too. He would have been the seventh one, as I've said. So that's what he's broken off from that and complied with the law.
And I've got to applaud Pence for doing that because, like, at the end of the day, you know, he may be more extreme than Chris Christie, but at the end of the day, you know, he was the one that was like upholding the law.
Yeah. Eastman like they pressured Pence with that scheme, and when Pence didn't go along with that,
it was like, hey, Mike Pence, and then like
ever since you can just the second he didn't go for the law, it was snap of the fingers. It was never the same. Gallows, everything as we know.
Some of the footage I've seen was just absolutely shocking. It seemed like a movie.
It's funny that you had pulled up the democracy page and because of Jan 6, that's probably we're in 39th. And I'd say democracy is one of the most important things in our country. And we're 39th.
Yeah, then again, you have to consider a lot of European and Asian countries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say, I'd say the lower your population is, the better chance you have of being a perfect democracy.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we need to like do a purge here because like that is the last thing we need because I'm telling you, that ever happens in America, everyone is going to go wild, and I mean everyone.
Yeah, I don't side with Marjorie's civil discourse across the United, because that's just preposterous.
President Taylor Greene is the scariest thought I've ever had.
Reminder: she was deemed too radical in the House of Republican caucuses. That
House of Republican caucuses.
A natural divorce. No, thank you.
We need to see less of Marjorie.
Yeah.
Like, we just need her to, like, stay out of the spotlight.
She needs to resign. She wouldn't, but yeah.
Yeah.
Kevin's the root of that.
Yeah. Now, I do want to point out that Alex Jones is somehow still going on with his conspiracy theories.
That doesn't surprise me, unfortunately.
Didn't hold on? Didn't Alex Jones say like frogs are gay at one point?
Yes, he did. The yeah,
I'm I'm gonna
can't drink the ocean's good. Yeah, because does it turn your frogs gay? So yeah,
that is not a stable man right there.
I I mean I think Alex he still has Infowars and it's that COVID-19 that caused meat allergy is baseless and RFK Jr. would cheers to that, but no, Alexander. Uh, she were born in Texas.
You know,
I mean, yeah.
let's put it this way. Someday, if this podcast is still around by then, someday we're probably going to be reporting on, someone like David Hogg running for president. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if David Hogg were to be elected president because what he stands for, that's something that I feel like it resonates with a lot of younger people.
Yeah. Alex Jones asks if Blair White, if the chemicals made her trans. Okay.
I have so many questions now.
I don't know. Remember, $1.4 billion were awarded for the families in total at Sandy Hook. So that's
And Parkland is most likely going to end up.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's going to get sued by the families of the victims.
But then when you look in a room and Alex Jones seems more sane than Kanye West, there are somehow also.
Let's just point out that Kanye said that the only reason he tolerates the Jews is because of Jonah Hill.
Man. Hitler created the microphone. Praise him. Like,
No, George Santos created the microphone.
Yeah, you're right. Santos, Hitler, West. Are you going to watch the new Kanye Kim divorce breakdown documentary?
I am not, but that's because, honestly, I refuse to even pay attention to.
Yeah, I would not have. Don't waste your time, folks.
I just want to point out that for all of y'all thinking, that whole family, they did nothing wrong. Kris Jenner literally made Kim Kardashian, her own daughter, famous by marketing her sex tape. Kris Jenner basically pimped out her own daughter.
Yeah, there's a lot she did not do about that. That whole that was crazy.
I think now.
I mean, her net worth being 1.7 billion. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah. At this point, I feel like someday we might see like a President Kardashian because Kim is just that popular, and she has said she may run at some point.
If anything, the America's taught us America doesn't give two shits if someone's out of the political bureaucracy. People are going to vote for anyone, so.
Yeah, we were all saying Donald Trump would never win the election, and look what happened.
That's, I've at least 4 people have said that I'd vote for Donald Trump just to see the liberals cry. Like, okay.
Yeah, like
That's not a reason, but all right.
I do have a couple people that might be good guest stars for this podcast.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's cool.
I was thinking of getting the perspective of a Canadian,
Okay,
and I have a couple Canadian friends that have both stated they'd be willing to be on this podcast.
that's great to hear.
Yeah, so that's insane.
Yeah, I think we had both. Yeah, and then talked to a creator in Australia who's also definitely. It, guest hosts will be that would be great in through our journey.
Yeah, and we're gonna be continuing coverage up through the election and probably through the inauguration.
Yeah, there'll be coverage through November 24. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Something I do want to discuss quickly is that we will be shifting our recording dates, probably to Friday or Saturday night.
I prefer. Yeah,
In
most likely.
Yeah, in just a few weeks. Therefore, upload dates will probably be sooner
Mm-hmm.
because we're looking at Monday or Tuesday upload dates, and what we really need is we need a Sunday upload date.
Yeah, it would probably be even before Monday, Tuesday if we shifted to Friday, Saturday nights.
I think a Sunday upload date would be perfect, and there's a
Yeah,
reason. The
if we
reason
can
is,
aim to Sunday, beginning of the week, and
and not to mention, it is also the day where most conservatives seem to come out of the woodwork on social media.
hey, yeah,
I have thought about
well,
doing a bit of trolling on Truth Social.
I can't even download Facebook, let alone True Social. I that
I,
would
I've thought about
I lose
trolling.
my mind.
I've thought about trolling on there multiple times, like just being like just spreading
It's
like democratic ads and stuff like that.
You'd probably just yell at someone screaming "Sound of Freedom," where raise awareness. Hunter Biden, copy paste.
Yeah. Oh yeah. What's funny is that, and this is the most cursed sentence you are about to hear. I was just scrolling through YouTube and randomly I saw like a YouTube video in like my recommended. It only had like 2 views, and it was a like it was like it was basically the whole Marjorie leaking Hunter's nudes thing,
Uh,
but it was basically um but they like took the audio and then remade that whole thing in like Gotcha Life.
oh no!
It was like just the thumbnail was enough for me to be like, what the hell?
That
That showcases the bad side of the Gotcha community. I am well aware that there is a good side because I have friends in the good side, but the bad side, please, for the love of God, stop taking Marjorie Taylor Greene's comments and just making them in Gotcha, because it's becoming a problem.
I didn't even know. I mean, no. With all due respect, I didn't know there was a good side of Gotcha.
Oh, there
So,
is. There is. I've actually voice acted in projects for it.
oh well,
Yeah.
that's cool.
I think I'm gonna be voice acting in a new one too, so we'll see.
That's great.
Anyway, so I'm gonna unsolve. Because I have a question to ask. Are you familiar with the website Nuke Maps?
Say that again.
Are you familiar with the website Nuke Maps?
Uh, I think so. I've heard of it.
All right, it's pretty cool, and yeah,
What's
it's
yeah.
it is definitely interesting.
What's the premise?
Basically, seeing like how many fatalities, how many injuries would there be if like there was a nuke that went off.
I think I've I think I've heard of that.
I wouldn't be surprised because it's like pretty
Yeah,
popular.
is that the website where it's and then you can use them see what the most intense nuclear bomb can do? Is that the website I'm thinking of?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. They have all the yeah from the lowest nuclear, and then you can put that anywhere around the world, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I do know what you're talking about. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I using the largest North Korean one.
Mm-hmm. Because yeah, those are the biggest ones.
Russia has a bigger one, but we're not going to talk about that one.
Did,
Using the biggest one though, using the biggest North Korean one. Um, yeah, had that Hawaiian missile alert in 2018 been real, yeah, Hawaii would have been screwed.
I I do know the story of that when yeah all the alerts of that going off and yeah people yeah if they're like yeah if I die here's my final and then it was literally just a false alarm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
I do.
little too big of a false alarm, don't we?
That would have yeah that would have wreaked havoc across any island. What is the biggest one ever? Is it in Russia or?
The largest one ever detonated was the Tsar Bomba, and that was 50 megatons, and that was a Soviet bomb. However, they designed another one that was 100 megatons.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's. And I'll check. I have been on that website before, but I'll check that. Yeah,
it's pretty interesting.
yeah, yeah. So with the yeah schedules, if yeah Friday, Saturday, and if yeah, I mean there'll be football Sundays too, so they'll be filling in that. So
Yeah.
yeah. Mm. You had told me about the Steam uh, you the Steam game with the politician one, right? I think you could
Oh,
play as Mexico or
it's basically Risk Online. That one.
yep, yep, yep.
Hearts of Iron 4.
Is that the one?
Yeah,
Okay, that one's also cool.
yeah. It's actually. Have you played
Mhm.
it yet?
Yeah, it's yeah. It's commonly you play as America, but like you said, yeah, you've played as Mexico before, and at least in the so yeah,
Yeah, I usually play as America.
yeah, but yeah, what I think Jeff Bezos gave 100 million to Hawaii aid for that. I think I saw Oprah. I think she's a resident. I think she was down helping Maui. I'm sure Taylor Swift is probably donating a lot. Not Elon though.
Yeah. But anyway, I think that's a pretty good spot to end off.
Yeah, that I think we the global state of affairs, and I think that was a good episode.
Yep, it was.
All right.
All right. Um. So
Uh,
that so this was Scapegoats episode 2. As always, we will see you next time.
all right. That was episode 2, and we will see you. All right.
All right.
Next week.
See you.
All right. See you.